We're always taught to look forward, to think about the future and plan for what's to come. That one day we'll have it all figured out and that all the hard work will have paid off. But what are we to do until then? What about today? Hi, I'm Tommy, a 25-year-old Brit living in Paris, and I've always had a bad habit of putting things off. Places I want to go, things I want to start. I'll say I'll do them someday, but someday always seems just as far away as the year before. So I've decided to ban the word. From now on, someday doesn't exist. It's time to live. I'm heading to Italy for an event. I'll explain later, but for now all you need to know is that I booked my tickets the day before. There were no Airbnbs, no hotels left, and I didn't know where I was going to sleep. But I was sick of daydreaming, and I knew I'd just have to figure it out. So you see, I make violins for a living. Yep, that's right. I'm a violin maker. Not the most standard job, I'll admit, but that's me. Every year in Cremona there's a huge event where hundreds of us meet, eat, drink, and generally just celebrate the craft. Except, this was my first time. I've been making for 5 years and yet somehow just didn't take the leap. Never again. What a weekend. I met friends, old and new, put faces to names, laughed, drank. Saw some of the most amazing things that, had I put it off another year, I probably would never have seen. But as Rocky said, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. It took me 20 minutes after arriving to drop my phone, leaving me with no way to find the apartment that I'd somehow secured a place in. I spent the best part of 3 hours looking for a phone shop and eventually shelled out for this definitely overpriced iPhone 7. Yes, 7. And if that wasn't bad enough, I caught a crappy strain of COVID that led to a pretty bad sinus infection that I'm only now just getting over. Which meant that the second half of my trip to Italy looked a lot like this. So that sucked. But if you gamble, you have to accept the risk. And besides, it's nothing that a good cup of Yorkshire tea can't fix. So, I'm back home in the north of England, my real home. I've met my beautiful little nephew. Still hard to believe that my brother has had a baby boy. And although I was home for 4 days after Italy, 3 of which I spent in bed, ill, I wouldn't have missed this for the world. For those of you that have moved country before, or even just moved far from home, you'll know that in moving to a new place, there's always cultural differences that you have to get used to. And we often pick up on those most different from where we come from. And I love England. England is my home and it will always be my home. And there are so many things that if I could put in a box and take to France with me, I would do it in a heartbeat. But I think one of the things I appreciate the most about since I've been in France is learning what it's like to really listen to yourself and to be unapologetically yourself. It's no coincidence I'm starting a YouTube channel since I've been in France. It's not easy speaking to a camera. You know, you see all over YouTube people saying that it gets easier and one day it'll be normal. I find it a very strange thing to do. But what I do know is that if I don't start now, it will never get any easier, and I'll never feel like I'm in a place where I'm comfortable doing this. And that's not something that I'm happy to accept. So now is the time. Today is number one. Today is video number one. Today is speaking to the camera number one. Today is showing my face properly number one. And I want to make this a monthly thing for the beginning. I know I need to get repetitions in, but I still want to work on these things and for them to mean something to me and to be like a project. I don't want to just put videos out there just to get a video out there. I want to try and have a little tiny cinematic touch if I can, and have a core idea that runs through the video and not just talk about why I'm sat next to a river talking to a camera. So I guess if I want you to take anything away from this, it's that you should stop saying someday, because someday is too vague. Someday is meaningless. Someday is not something that you can define. I'm not saying it's not a good idea to have dreams for the future and aspirations for the future, but saying someday means nothing if you don't take the first step. You know, I think the most dangerous thing that we can do to ourselves is to tell ourselves that we'll get around to it. Because why not now? Honestly, why not? I don't want to be here in 10, 20, 30 years regretting the fact that I didn't start. You'll never have more time than you do now. You'll never have more energy than you do now. You'll never be as young as you are now. You know, we tell ourselves that we'll do it someday, or we can't do it right now because we don't have the time, or we're too bothered about what, you know, all these people think about us. But nobody cares. Not your friends or your family, not the people that bullied you in school. Like, nobody cares about anything that you're doing. The only person that cares is you. And I'm not even saying these things because I think that I'm wise and that you should listen to me. I think personally I also need to hear it, because there's been so many times in my life where I've wanted to do something or start something or be a part of something, and I was too bothered by what people thought of me or what they would say about what I'm doing, and I've just had enough. After a while, if you keep doing that, you start to not trust yourself anymore, or you start to listen to yourself a bit less, and that's not good for anybody. You know, this made me laugh when I first heard it, and I can't remember for the sake of me who it was, so I apologise if I'm ripping you off entirely, but if you're ever talking to a French person about this subject in French, you will hear them say in English, in a French accent, people pleaser. Because there is no word for people pleaser in French. It just doesn't exist. It's not in their way of thinking to change the way that you are to fit other people. And I think that's important, and I think that's marked me quite a lot. Because I'm so sick of telling myself that someday I'm going to do this thing. Someday I'm going to set a camera up on a tripod and just start talking. Because it's such a simple task that in the long run, I'm going to be so happy that I did. I won't be sat there thinking about maybe someday going down to the river and setting up my camera and shooting that stupid YouTube video about why I'm making a YouTube video, you know. So that makes 45 minutes. I'm probably way underexposed because I didn't realise that it was getting dark, it's raining, and maybe half of this footage is going to go in the bin, but at least I've come out and shot it. Maybe 5 people will see this video. Maybe 100 people will see it. Maybe 1 person will see it. But already just making it and putting it online allows me to tick that box and move from this someday mindset to today. Today I went out and shot some video, and today I edited the video, and today I uploaded it, and today I put a video on YouTube. But I've ticked that box anyway. But now it's definitely time to go home because I'm gonna get soaking. So yeah, hopefully that wasn't too painful to watch. I'm definitely not a natural in front of the camera, but I hope you can take something from this. And if I can leave you one final thought, if not from a random guy, but from a random guy's mum, to live is the rarest thing in the world. Most people exist. That is all. Let yourself live.